Just go.
I don't sing Michael Jackson, sorry. Didn't come on yesterday.
Well,
I did two excellent renditions. I did Piano Man and Vienna. Got up for a duet and did Face to Face, Gary Barlow, Elton John. I'm telling you now, I am the best karaoke singer in the world. Anyway, let's start the recording. Yeah,
well,
let's
we
get on with this.
already have, and Dan,
Someone puts that in.
Shit.
leave that in, please. Someone that Barcelona could do with at the moment is Piano Man. Someone with a little bit of that orchestral magic, because they're, of course, as Sam said, struggling a lot with their. I think off the pitch problems is mainly the sort of issues that we're having. Bartomeu, is it? Their club director or whatever his name is seems to be.
President.
He seems to be under a lot of pressure. The recruitment has been poor. I mean, if you think about the amount of money they've spent on players, Dembele, Griezmann, Coutinho, that's a good, 400 mil on 3 players. That none of them have really performed that well. Griezmann's done pretty well, to be fair. But overall,
it's the fact that with all 3 of them, one of them was playing for the other team, one of them didn't make it off the bench, and the other one was brought on. Like, that's 450 million worth of talent. There's probably clubs that have never had that much money literally come in at all through their entire lifespan. So, that's stupid money. And it's a stupid club. The fact that you've got 3 of the most expensive players in the world and you're losing 8-2.
Well, exactly. One of them was
Ronaldo or something as well. Wasn't there's some weird headline this week?
Yeah.
Ronaldo is offered to Barcelona.
Can you imagine that?
Oh, yeah, because Juve want rid of his wages because he's on like 20-something million a year. It's comfortable money. You could work 1 year as Ronaldo and then retire. So,
yeah, literally.
If anyone wants to do that for me, just
if someone could get me a contract at Juventus for around the same sort of wage, I mean, to be honest, I'd be happy with £1,000 a week. So, just any sort of contract, I'll be fine with that. Thanks, guys.
Juve, if you come calling, I would not be happy with £1,000 a week. I'm just saying.
Sam demands higher pay. I personally think that £1,000 a week would do me very nicely.
Yeah, I'll do work experience at site.
Yeah. I'll do voluntary work, Juventus. Get me instead. But yeah, in terms of the club itself now, I think it's very much an AC Milan situation, potentially. An AC Milan situation where we just see them sort of dwindle. They could have money problems. Of course, I mean, even that really weird swap deal of Artur and 70-odd mil for Pjanic. Pjanic, why do they need Pjanic? They've got an ageing team as it is. I think that they're struggling to sort of transition into a different team or a new team at the moment. So, tough times for Barcelona. I think this very much it feels very similar to the Brazil-Germany game at the World Cup when they lost. Obviously, Brazil lost 7-1. It feels very similar in that respect. But, of course, that it does sort of link into Neymar. We did mention him earlier. Of course, he did leave Barcelona to be... He didn't want to be in Messi's shadow. And I think that to some sense, they still do heavily rely on Messi, despite the amount of money that they've spent on all these players. They still rely on their older players like PK, Busquets, Messi, Suarez, and they're not getting any younger. So I think, would you say that the recruitment has to change before anything else?
Yes, and it can't be rushed. It can't be flying in for Neymar now that they think Neymar's suddenly worth it again. It has to be sensible. They had the perfect match and they've not made it work. I mean, they signed Frenkie de Jong and it just made sense. You look at Frenkie de Jong as a player and he just looks like a Barcelona player. He looks like he should be there playing for them, centre midfielder. They're starting, the pivot.
He's very
and
much
he's just been
Xavi and
he's just not had it this season. He's just not looked as good. And I'm looking through the team from yesterday, and realistically, you're not going to find many players where you think, like their turd, they need replacing instantly. Ter Stegen, you're not going to find many better goalkeepers than him that you can replace him with, right? Semedo, there's probably right backs out there, but for the you're going to be paying a lot of money. Is it worth it for a right back? Jordi Alba, getting older, probably you need someone different. But then again, they do have Firpo on the bench, who's a bit younger, and they've probably got players in the academy who they can start bringing through. Your centre backs, Piqué's old, but once again, you're not going to find many who are better than him. You'll be paying a lot of money for those who are. Langley is a bit turd, but once again, I don't think he's realistically the man they're pinning their hopes on, and they've got other options.
I don't know whether you two would agree. I think their most important bit of recruitment is the manager, because in terms of managers, they haven't got it right. Valverde was not good. Same thing with Quique Setien. Of course, predictably, he was sacked straight after the game. I think it's the management side of things at the moment that needs sorting out. Because like you say, it's not a bad team. This isn't a team that should be losing 8-2. It is a good team, but I think that they're just being managed the wrong way.
They're conning themselves into thinking that whoever they bring in has to play the Barcelona way. It's that age-old thing, like with United, where Solskjaer brings back the United way, and West Ham had it under Sam Allardyce, where they're not playing the West Ham way. It's like football philosophies change. Clubs shouldn't have attachments to a style of play. Things drift in and out. Hull City, weird example, used to literally, striker would pass it back to Damien Delaney in the centre circle and he'd hoof it out to the corner flag for an opposition throw-in every kickoff. That's traditional Hull City. I don't turn up going, if Grant McCann doesn't have us doing that, it's not the Hull City way. I go there and I think, okay, he's going to do what he wants to do. He's going to play 4-3-3 every game, even if we get dicked 8-0 by Wigan. Like, the thing is with Barcelona, their style of play is beautiful, but it hasn't worked
outdated?
Since because Guardiola's doing it at Man City and making his team look like one of the best in the world. They looked good. The last time they won the Champions League, they were playing a completely different style of play. Luis Enrique had them playing a bit more direct, a bit more get the turnovers, and it's that classic 90s sort of spiel of if you can turn them quickly. The old Gary Neville syndrome of get the ball to the right back, pump it down the line, make the defenders turn and play something. It's old school, but it's literally the best form of sort of quick turnovers are your best form of football because one, it's exciting, and two, what's the point in turning up and every team knows you're going to play short, tiki-taka, get the ball to Messi and let him dribble around, because then you just two players on Messi, high press. Oh, look what happens. You lose 8-2 to a team that can effectively stop you. They're not thinking.
Bayern have definitely got some fans. I mean, Goretzka has really improved. He's bulked out a load. I mean, he's massive now. He was very slim when he joined. But he's turning into a fantastic midfielder. Very, very much an all-round player. He can do a bit of everything. Serge Gnabry as well, getting on the score sheet. He's been improved. And a word of course, on Robert Lewandowski, who, weirdly, or slightly suspiciously, the Ballon d'Or's been cancelled this year. Of course, they wouldn't be able to do the usual thing, but you would have thought that they could have at least given him the award. I think that Lewandowski definitely deserves the award this year. I mean, he's getting close to 60 goals. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
I want also a round of applause for Thomas Muller, who is probably the most average player at everything, and yet still one of the best players in the world.
He's brilliant though. He's so.
Also, that moment in the press conference where he makes the Lewandowski joke twice to a just dead air is beautiful. You're not going to get better.
He's a funny guy.
Lewandowski. Everyone goes quiet, and he's looking around. Golski, and it's like, no, Thomas, no.
But we in Bayern, we have Robert Lewandowski. You know, Robert Lewandowski.
Need to repeat it.
Come on, it died the first time. But he does seem to be involved in those sort of embarrassing moments, doesn't he? I mean, he was in the Germany team for the Brazil game as well, so he's got that elite mentality. You can just tell in the way that he speaks. He is Bayern Munich. He's definitely embedded that philosophy. To be fair, Bayern's mentality is just, for me, it's almost unmatched. It's like they just go out there and just try and just destroy anyone. And there was a brilliant quote from Muller, I think, that said, we want to go out there and make sure that our opposition plays like there's no hope for them or something like that. Like we just want to make sure that there's no hope for our opponents, which is like, it's quite savage really, but it's just how they are. And that's why they win so much and that's why they're so successful. And a player that has sort of felt their wrath over the past couple of years is Jadon Sancho, who of course has tried to drag Dortmund to a Bundesliga title without having to do so, because they're a bunch of bottlers. But superb season for him individually. Almost, high teens in goals and assists for a 20-year-old. I mean, he's just, for me, he's probably England's best, or one of the best England's attacking players. He's playing at such a high level at such a young age, and of course, that means that he is attracting attention from Manchester United. Of course, he did grow up in City's academy. He really shone in Manchester City's academy. Manchester United seemed to be a destination that he'll probably never end up going to by the looks of things. Some journalists have described this as a bit of a piggy in the middle situation. He's a bit stuck. But the news is now that he said he's happy at Dortmund and that it's a great group of players and that he wants to take them to success. I'm not convinced. I mean, Matt, what do you think about the situation? It's been rumbling on for quite some time now. Do you think he's actually going to end up leaving?
Well, I mean, yeah, as you say, it's been a rumor for a while. I mean, it's a question of, I mean, I guess the money element, the 100 million that I think has been rumored, sort of price tag that they've been looking at or trying to work with. I mean, are United going to make that decision, go for the 100 million? And if they do, is he going to want to leave? Is that where he wants to be? I mean, obviously you've got the likes of, as we said before, Bruno Fernandes is doing a lot. They've got, and United's squad isn't particularly weak in that aspect in the midfield, really, I wouldn't have said. So it's like where I'm not sure I think he would slot into that squad particularly well, whereas he's doing all right at Dortmund, as you say.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe they could play four up front, but then you would struggle with the midfield. I mean, I was thinking about them signing. I was like, well, maybe they'd play a 4-2-4, but then you can't really have a Fernandes and Pogba midfield too, because you'd sort of just, obviously Matic has become quite an important player for them now, so you'd probably have to. I mean, you could maybe go with a 4-2-3-1 potentially, but then you're gonna have to drop one of Rashford, Greenwood, or Martial if you bring him in. So I don't know. It's a good point. I mean, where would he fit in?
I just don't see them dropping one of those three for him, to be honest.
I think though, this is exactly the kind of problem a club like Man United should be having, where people are discussing who they drop and they're going to have too many good players. Because when City bought someone like Riyad Mahrez, everyone was like, well, he won't play and stuff. But constantly in and out of the team, rotated, plays big matches. It's not like Riyad Mahrez only plays the Farmers. He does play the big games and stuff. And it's a real sort of like big club thing that has sort of almost faded away a bit, that you have 6 players who can play 3 positions and you literally just rotate them. You let them play into form. If they go a little bit downhill, you swap them out, you change it. Game by game, you change it. I mean, at the moment, they've got almost a perfect system with Greenwood, Martial and Rashford, but it's just whether or not Sancho actually fits that.
Yeah, I guess that's the biggest question. To be honest, it'd be a superb signing. I mean, they're definitely building a much better squad And now could maybe still do with a couple of additions defensively, but I mean, if they get Sancho in attack, I mean, you might not even need to defend that well with the amount of goals that you could potentially get. And if they continue their form from this season into next season, then I definitely think that they could be up there. They really could. They've definitely looked pretty well. They've looked pretty good, apart from that semi-final defeat to Chelsea. But I mean, do you think he'll move before the end of the window, or is this just going to be one of those that just goes on for so long that it never actually happens?
And that's the question.
It is a question, yes.
No, it happens too often for me to say that it won't happen, where this sort of saga drags out, and then just happens one random Tuesday. I really want to say that it'll drag out and, deadline day will be like bloody exciting and, we'll have a great time, but I just don't think we will. I think it's going to be one of those that just fizzles out eventually. United will pay the money if they have to, but I don't think they should. They're asking an extortionate amount, given the fact that money now could be on its way back down, given the pandemic and everything that's happened. I would say that Dortmund are just trying to capitalise on what was pre-COVID transfer sums. I think the money should be coming down really now. I think people have seen just how easily the money can be lost, because look at how much money the clubs probably lost on income and everything else like that post coronavirus. You can't be gambling on £150 million footballers, because look at what happened to Barcelona. They've got 3 of them and, well, lost 8-2 in the Champions League quarter-final.
Yeah, I think that... to be honest, I don't think he'll move this window. I think, to be honest, I think he just needs 1 or 2 more seasons at the top level to then really establish himself as a world-class player. Because don't get me wrong, he's had 2 world-class seasons, but it's 2 world-class seasons, or 2 or 3. He's getting there, and I think for me, for his development, I think that staying at Dortmund seems like a decent choice. He's one of the main players there. He's sort of the main man that everyone sort of hypes up. So I think it would be a good choice for him to stay at Dortmund. But if we move on to, of course, snooker and fans and football and fans. We all love fans. We are fans, and fans make the sport. As we have seen with this post-COVID empty stadiums, people have, I think clubs especially, are now, if they didn't already, realising how important fans are. I think that this could be good for football fans, this stadium ban, because I think sometimes owners and stuff will take fans for granted, and without that atmosphere, without that income, then I think it puts into perspective how big fans are for clubs, and that we still have a massive say in football, and football without fans is just nowhere near as good. It's just nowhere near the same. And of course, fans are being piloted to return to sporting events. The World Snooker Championships in Sheffield did something similar. Of course, fans weren't allowed in, but I think they had like very minimal numbers of people or something like that. I can't quite remember how they did it, but I mean, there's been rumours that football fans will be let into stadiums next month, but there'll be a ban on singing, which for me seems a little bit like a bit of an oxymoron, really.
What's the point then?
What's the point?
There and sit in silence, like.
I think it was the Daily Star or the Daily Mirror Sport that reported it. So, with the greatest respects to those publications, I would take it with a pinch of salt. If having wanted to go into journalism, though, I won't say anything too negative against them, because I want them to. If I need a job, then I might need to just suck it up and write stories about Ronaldo's underwear. But for me, it's a tough one because I think it's too early. Letting fans into stadiums next month. Now, having said that, where I live in the West Midlands, we currently have had 0 cases. We had 0 cases last week, I think, but sometimes they'll creep up. But if we're talking about, without sounding too insensitive, we're talking like 70 cases a week. They're not massive numbers. So you can sort of see why they would want to bring it back. But at the same time, Boris Johnson previously said it would be October and with 20% capacity or something like that. So for me, I think that's the best way to do it. That's the way the J League are doing it at the moment. Granted, I think Japan in terms of health and safety are much more advanced than we are. But the J League have fans in the stadium, but they're all socially distanced. They all wear masks. And, it is like 30-40% capacity. It is getting bigger each time, but of course, I mean, what would you guys think? Because of course, especially with us being university students, there's plenty of sort of and ahhing about freshers and societies and stuff. And if we're talking about freshers or clubs and stuff, we're talking a couple of 100 people. I mean, some of our bigger lectures, for example, with 100 people in, might not go ahead. They might have to be online. So if a lecture of 100 people, where realistically we could socially distance if you halve the class size and have 2 different lectures, our lecture halls are big enough to socially distance. If that is being called into question, where we can wear masks, we can socially distance, then how can we also suggest that sporting fans could be let into venues next month? For me, it just doesn't add up at all.
Yeah. I mean, the difference in that is that sports venues genuinely, for the most part, people are outside. Like there's the little bit where you kind of go through, you're in the bar, that's kind of inside, whereas most of it's outside, which the transmission rate outside is a lot lower than it is inside. So that's the main difference on that one. But I mean, going back to the snooker, with how they reintroduced, everyone with a ticket was given an email saying, do you want to come to the event still? And those people who said yes, admittedly, not that many people did, were given a ticket to come and sit sort of socially distanced in the Crucible Arena. And another one, the Diamond League, which is the athletics kind of like league competition, actually reintroduced fans. That started up last night in Monaco. So that wasn't in the UK, but that was over in Monaco, but they had fans in the stadium. And to be honest, from the footage, it didn't look like they were distanced at all. There was obviously the stadium wasn't full to capacity, but there was people sat next to each other and kind of around each other, some wearing masks, some not. So, I mean, we are going to start to see over the next couple of months fans being reintroduced. And certainly with football, I think we do need to start it off slowly with really reduced numbers, because what we really don't want to happen is go back to normal, suddenly there being a massive spike and then have to go back. So we just want to gradually introduce it so we don't have to go back into no fans again. We don't want to get to the point where fans are in and then fans are out, and then this to and fro in that we might have. We really don't want that.
I think over winter as well, it'll be. I mean, I'm not going to say that the sun means that the virus dies, but there has been a marked difference between March and July in case numbers. Obviously, that's because people have had it and et cetera, but I do think that once it starts getting colder again and the common cold comes back and the flu and whatever else, it's going to be impossible, realistically, for fans to crowd in because, oh no, I don't have the coronavirus, I just have the normal cold. Well, they share symptoms, and you sneeze onto your hands, forget to sanitize, forget to do whatever, and then pat someone on the back, or ask to come through, and it the germs spread or whatever. You touch the back of a chair by accident, someone else then touches it. You can't take that risk. And unfortunately, despite all of the economic things, which, to answer your question, why lectures are cancelled, Tom, and football stadiums can be filled up again, is there's money to be made from selling football tickets, getting people back in, and there's sort of that university students, we're not paying to enter. We've already paid. So every lecture we attend or don't is, it's not pay to enter. Whereas a football match, you pay for your ticket, your pie, your pint, your program, your scarf, whatever you buy on the day.
I think that is the risk, though. Sorry to just cut in quickly, but
No.
The concourses as well. If we let in too many fans, it's all well and good us maybe socially distancing outside, but as soon as you get people sort of crammed into the concourses, I think that's when the problem sort of arises. And then the whole thing about, we can let fans in, but they'll have to sign a code of conduct or something to not sing. You might as well just have the generated crowd noise at that point. I mean, what's the point? If you can't, you've just got to sit there in silence. I know, for some clubs it won't make too much of a difference, but if you've got like a passionate fan base, then I'm sure it will sort of be meaningless, really. I mean, yeah, you get to watch the game, but I mean, if you're banning singing, do you ban cheering as well? Then it's like where's the line there? It doesn't make much sense to me. I think for me, October seems a fair date for 20% capacity to come back in. I think by then it should be better, but then at the same time, it could also get worse because, like Sam said, we're getting closer to that sort of winter period. Yeah. So it's very much a strange one. We could see half of our season being very similarly laid out in terms of we're not going to have many, if any, fans for at least the first half of the Premier League, Europa League, Champions League campaign.
I mean, we're starting to see certainly with the FA Cup as well, they're saying no replays for next season. So that's already coronavirus having an impact on football next season and sports next season.
No two-legged finals as well for the Carabao Cup. A semi-final, sorry, not finals, which again, I think is a good thing. I personally prefer one-legged knockout games. I think it's just a lot better. But yeah, no replays, a bit of a tough one, really. I think if you do no replays, for me, you have to, if it's Man United against Rochdale, you have to play it at Rochdale. I think for me, it's like if you're not doing replays, or well, actually, I don't know, because away day at Old Trafford, but you know what I mean. If there's one-legged matches, you sort of have to try and, I can't even get my words out then. If it's one-legged matches, then I think you have to try and organise it so that it benefits the smaller clubs to get a bit more revenue. Because, I know that sort of sounds a bit weird.
No, it's what they do. It's what they do abroad. Spain do that with their trophy. Italy does it, like Germany do it. But then it becomes this weird sort of thing of over there, it's literally like seeded. So if you're the division below, you're the home team. But over here, there's that weird thing of, well, do you want the big club to come to your ground or do you want to go and play at theirs? Because most players will never get the chance to play at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
there's no fans.
Most Man United players will never have been to Rochdale. So, well, apart from the fact they played quite recently, but you get my point. It's.
I mean, there's another way of doing it though. That they, I'm sure Rochdale can't hold as many fans as Old Trafford for obvious reasons. But would holding it at Rochdale limit the number of fans and limit the number of ticket sales? Is it better to do it at Old Trafford and then split the ticket sales? Would that make more money than having it at Rochdale?
I mean, it all depends on when fans come back in all honesty. I mean, the FA Cup tends to start around, January? Which...
The big clubs, yeah.
Which is, the third round starts in January, which is when the big clubs that we're talking about do sort of get, seeding into the competition. Now, obviously, the question is, what's the state of affairs going to be like? Obviously, we have seen reports that the coronavirus doesn't do things according to the time of the year or the weather. So Christmas could be fine. We could actually be okay. It might not necessarily get worse with the flu and the cold season. But that is obviously, a big risk. So we can't really rest on our laurels in that sense. So I think it all depends on what the fan situation is and what clubs want to do. I think at the end of the day, it'll just come down to the club's decision. I'd imagine if we are using Man United and Rochdale as a sort of an example, I think Rochdale would want to play at at Old Trafford, purely because of just the opportunity. Obviously, Luke Matheson scored at Old Trafford, and look what that's done for his career. He signed for a very good team in Wolves. So
I think the other thing that United always do that's quite classy, I don't know about other clubs, I know United always seem to declare it, is that they give, when it's a League One, League Two club, they just give the money from the game to the other club. Not the prize money, but like the ticket sales and everything like that. They give the revenue, because it's a 50-50 split between home and away team. Yeah. They just give the other teams, like when Rochdale, it was Cambridge the other year as well, where they made Cambridge made £1 million from the replay at Old Trafford because of all of that, and then United just basically gave them the rest of the money. But yeah,
I mean it doesn't sound like a lot, $1 million, but for
a League One club, it was a new training ground.
Two club, that's a huge amount of money. I don't think people really clock on to like the disparity of the money between the leagues now. It's ridiculous. But in terms of sport going forward, we're just going to have to play it by ear and see how it goes. I mean, we can't really predict too much. I mean, it could be a lot. I do think fans will be back in September, October time. I don't think it's going to get much worse, to be honest. It seems to have leveled out a lot. With obviously indoor venues and stuff are allowed to hold events, weddings are allowed to have events with up to 30 people though, so it's very much reduced, I think, capacity. As long as people can socially distance, then places can open. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we can have fans soon, just to get that bit of atmosphere back, unless they ban singing, at which point would be pretty ridiculous. But
City wouldn't know the difference.
If anyone even bothers to comment, leave your opinions on what's going to happen in the Champions League down below.
If you've watched the entire thing, thank you.
Yeah,
we've used 2 full Zoom meetings for this, so thank you for watching the entire thing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, thank you very much for watching. That's all we've got time for. 80 minutes.
Wait, before we go, fuck the Premier League, yeah? Fuck off. Fuck the Premier League.
Right, that's a lot of bleeping for Daniel to do, but yeah.
Fuck your morals.
Yeah, corrupt league. You're a corrupt league.
See you all in the studio soon. Bye.
Finding walls for breaching FFP. What FFP have we breached? Anyway, we'll see you in the studios when we can actually beat people and be in physical contact with each other, which will be a lot better. Hopefully we'll have a lot more content on the way. But until then, we will see you next time.